As human beings, we deserve the truth. We deserve to know the truth because it's a part of us. It's a part of human knowledge. And our government should not be using our tax dollars against us. We should be able to speak up and speak out and hold them accountable as well. Guys, it's about the pursuit of the full truth about UFOs, UAPs, unidentified flying objects, unidentified aerial phenomena. And it is picking up steam in Congress and within the halls of science in some of our most prestigious universities and across the globe. Both military as well as physicists are studying these phenomena that we are seeing more frequently in our skies. And why are we seeing them more frequently? Well, because of our technology. Because now we have the capability to monitor and clock what we are seeing in the skies, these TikToks, these little, or Tic Tacs, these vehicles that appear to look like a Tic Tac. I mean, they're round, cylindrical, some of them, moving at speeds between 700 and 900 Gs, which the human body could not stand at all. I mean, we're up to what, like 9 to 10 Gs? We can handle that. What is going on in the sky? So right now, the UAP Disclosure Act passed the Senate, and it is moving closer to being signed into law as part of the Defense Authorization Act. And this is very important because the Disclosure Act will basically force the hand of those inside the DoD. And I don't know how we're going to get all the truth out of them. I think there's other ways of hiding things. And especially when it comes to technology, right? And classified situations. And we'll delve deeper into that. But this UAP Disclosure Act is supposed to give us insight into what is happening with our taxpayer dollars and with what is happening in our skies in the study of this. Our government knows more than it is saying. Our government knows what is happening to some extent in our skies, and I believe they have known this. And Tucker Carlson made it very clear. If you guys were watching X, he posted a really fantastic piece this week on, it was an interview with a lawmaker about this, but a really fantastic monologue that he did saying, look, this goes back way into the 1940s, maybe even before the 1940s. We were tracking objects in the sky that apparently have no explanation. And now that we have whistleblowers coming forward saying, look, we not only have clocked these objects in the sky and have seen these objects through our radar and through our technology, but we have actually captured these craft when they have crashed. We are in possession of these craft, and we are in possession of alien biologics, whatever that is. I don't know what that is, because no one has ever told us the truth about what is happening. Now that may be different. Now our lawmakers are fighting to get to that truth, to find out what it is. And we as people on this planet deserve to know that truth. And as Americans, we should know where our money is going. There have been some exciting developments in this space, and I want to share them with you on today's show. But first, let's talk about Super Beets. We could all benefit from heart healthy, right? Energy. Super Beets heart chews are an easy and convenient way to support healthy blood pressure, guys. They're a plant-based and stimulant-free, like little squares, chewy squares that are absolutely delicious. So it's almost like gummies. So you get a green boost, guess what, without any jitters. Paired with a healthy lifestyle, the antioxidants in Super Beets are clinically shown to be nearly 2 times more effective at promoting normal blood pressure than a healthy lifestyle alone. Double your potential with Super Beets Heart Chews. You guys know I take them with me everywhere I go, when I'm on a trip, when I'm overseas, everywhere I go, and I feel so much better that I do. Why? Because I feel healthier and I know that I'm treating my body the right way. Double your potential with Super Beets Heart Chews. Get a free 30-day supply of Super Beets heart chews and a free full-size bag of turmeric chews valued at $25 by going to americalovesbeets.com. That is americalovesbeets.com. Get this exclusive offer only at americalovesbeets.com. I want to play a little clip of Tucker's interview with Congressman Burchett. Now, Congressman Burchett has been one of the most vocal activists when it comes to the investigations that are ongoing in Congress into what is the UAP phenomena, or as I like to say, the UFO phenomena, because people are more familiar with that, right? Unidentified flying object, unidentified aerial phenomena. I think we can pretty much be solid on the fact that there are objects in our sky. This is a fact that we cannot explain, and that those objects do not appear to be from this planet, that their capabilities with these objects, these Tic Tacs and other triangular shaped objects and spherical shaped objects that have been documented in our skies that appear to be maneuvered by intelligent life form are not from planet Earth, because we've been seeing the same doggone objects for decades now. So unless the Chinese government in the 1930s, like I said at the top of the show, or the Russians or us have had these objects since like the 1930s in our possession, and that's our technology, then shame on us, because we're still trying to figure out how to use electric vehicles the right way. I mean, common sense tells you that this cannot be from planet Earth, which is the reason why so many in the Senate and in the Congress now, and so many whistleblowers have come forward to say there is something going on here, and our government is keeping the truth from the American people. Maybe our government doesn't have all the answers either. Maybe they have some of these objects. Maybe they don't want other nations to know that we have these objects, and they're under classified settings, or they're being kept at, Area 51 in Nevada. But these objects, according to these whistleblowers, are real, and that, according to some of the most important whistleblowers that have come forward, that not only do we possess these objects, but we also possess alien biologics. Does that mean it's a full body? Does it mean it's a bacteria? Does it mean it's something that they found on? I don't know. We do not have the answer to that. But there are people willing to come forward now where they never were willing to come forward before. Never. Earlier this week, Tucker Carlson did interview Congressman Burchett of Tennessee, and he talked to him about the UAP Disclosure Act. Burchett held subcommittee hearings this year featuring military whistleblowers, which I thought was phenomenal, because once you get the military whistleblowers in, and these people are willing to put everything on the line, and I'm going to explain that to you later in the show, what that means. I know how scary that can be. I know how frightening it is when you come forward with information, or when you're putting it out there, and especially when it's people that do not want you, or agencies or departments like the DOD do not want you to come forward with this information. One thing that Tucker asked him about was the total lack of interest by the media and other congressional leaders. I'm not talking about Senator Marco Rubio or some of the Dems that are on board with this. Some of the Republicans like Burchett and others, Representative Luna, she's been amazing at this. But this lack of interest by the media and other congressional leaders in this critical topic. Why aren't they interested in this? This would be the biggest discovery of mankind, of humankind, in our entire history of existence. Why wouldn't you want to know the truth? I want to know the truth. Sometimes knowing the truth is not convenient. That's okay. This does not conflict at all, in my opinion, with my belief in God. I absolutely believe that I do not have all the answers to everything, that these mysteries that exist in the world make me more faithful than I've ever felt before. I mean, I know I've said this before. I said this even when the worst of the worst happened in Israel, right? And people would say, like, how could there be a God? How could God allow this to happen? God didn't allow this to happen. God gives us choices. My choice right now is to know the truth. Here was Burchett's response to Tucker Carlson when he asked.
But there are some people who are bothered by this, but I've heard almost no discussion about why it's happening in the first place. Why the effort, the enormous effort to suborn the members of Congress, the committee chairman I mentioned, and the new Speaker of the House, and the Senate Minority Leader, why? Why go to the effort to hide information that most Americans think they already know and have accepted?
I think it's power, influence, corruption, money, all the things, that run Washington. Our Pentagon just recently failed their 6th audit in a row. They publicly disclosed that over half their assets are unaccounted for. Now, those assets are, their automobiles, their firearms, their, personnel, everything. 50%. Could you imagine anything else? And yet we've rewarded them with billions more this year for their incredible effort, and they're bragging about how well they're doing now. And so you figure a compartmentalized department like the Pentagon, who has these untold billion-dollar contracts with our defense contractors who want us in every dadgum war, who want us in Ukraine, who want us in everything, everywhere in the world, and because they'll be selling more missile defense systems and things like that.
He's absolutely right. I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, I think we don't even have all the answers yet. But I think his assessment that there is corruption and power and that they are keeping information from the people, this is how these departments have run since their inception. And, the military industrial complex, or, the circular door that goes in and out, especially when it comes to research and development. And the fact that we have Lockheed Skunk Works and, Boeing and all of these major players, they are all involved in these massive contracts that are, that are set up in such a way to protect themselves. And the way that they do that is by keeping the information proprietary and by keeping it from the American people, by keeping it from us, by keeping it from other nations. But I've got to tell you, I think there's even more to this than what we can imagine. Let me just, before we go to the next Tucker clip, let me explain. Of course, we know that there are divisions within the Department of Defense and within the, intelligence community, like the CIA and other, other intelligence apparatus in the United States, where it's like a black hole. For example, the Office of Net Assessment. I've talked about that in the past. This is an office that is supposed to provide basically reports on threats to the United States and assess those threats and then present those threats, to people who request it. Like if I request, what is the assessment on China and the US? The Office of Net Assessment should have that. What I discovered when I was doing my stories, and much to my surprise, was the fact that the Office of Net Assessment during the Russiagate was actually used to target President Trump and people within his campaign. A man by the name of Stefan Halper was taking money from the Office of Net Assessment and basically was connected directly to the Russiagate scandal. And that was out of the DOD, right? So there are black holes where the money falls in. Now, power and money and development of future technologies, yes, I can understand that. But there's also maybe something that we're not looking at. Our government and other governments that have been aware of what is happening in our skies may be in possession of information that they're afraid of sharing with us because it's going to be damaging or could affect humankind in such a way that maybe we're going to react to it, or they think we're going to react to it in a bad light. Let me give you an example. About 40 years ago, in a forest in Suffolk County, England, one of the most famous UFO sightings occurred. I interviewed some of these people that were there. They were U.S. military officials, and they were at Woodbridge. It was RAF, the Royal Air Force Woodbridge. And they were stationed there. These were United States Air Force officers stationed at Woodbridge. And they were security personnel. And they actually saw lights in the sky. Now, Woodbridge, at the time, nobody knew. This is not something that was public and probably has never even really been admitted to, even since, was the area where it was a nuclear facility. It was where they kept our ICBMs in Europe, according to people that I've talked with and reports that are out there on the internet. At the time, there was a man by the name of Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt and others who were on that base. They were stationed there. And they saw these incredible lights in the sky. In fact, one of the officers that I interviewed said he walked up to one of these objects that appeared to be almost like a drone size, and it had markings on it and was made out of an alloy that he had not ever recognized. Like, he actually touched it. They reported this to their higher ups. This was the Rendlesham Forest incident. For all of you out there, if the UFO fans, or people that know about these stories would know this, that he actually touched it. And he even wrote down in his notebook some of the symbols that were on the outside of this supposed vehicle. They reported it, of course, to the higher ups. They saw it over a period of time. And then they were visited by the CIA, by U.S. intelligence officials, that basically told them that they weren't allowed to talk about it, that they would, that their careers would be over. They threatened them. They made them sign non-disclosure agreements. Anyways, they did keep their mouths shut for a very long period of time. And eventually they did come forward. They did come forward to talk about it. But it was very difficult for them, even then. And in 2010 is when I interviewed them. And think about it, this happened during the 1980s, right? The Rendlesham Forest incident. But all of the sudden, more and more people were coming forward. All of the sudden, come, 2010, 2015, we have better equipment. We have capability to monitor it. Our radar is much better than you have in, I think it was even before that, in 2004, the USS Nimitz, where the naval fleet actually was able to document these vehicles in the sky, what they call the Tic Tac vehicles, right? Because they look like little Tic Tacs, but they're big, but they look like Tic Tacs, white, smooth, but moving at speeds you can't even imagine, right? And documenting these. So there's no real way to hide it anymore from the public to a certain extent. And people are talking about it more and more. And how do you explain people, senior officials within the military, seeing these objects? And the reason why I say maybe our government doesn't really want us to know, and this was interesting because Tucker brought it up. What if they've already been in communication with these objects? What have they talked about? What kind of, and I mean, it sounds so far-fetched, but it's not. What kind of information have we traded with them? What does that mean? How would we react if we understood or knew what that was? These are very important questions. These are very important because they have to do with us and our lives. And they have to do with the fact that our taxpayer dollars, and I think it was interesting that Burchett really laid it out there. These are taxpayer dollars that are overseeing whatever these black operations are. And not even our Congress has oversight over what is happening there. So I think that right now, because we have so many people coming forward, and it isn't like before, where pilots would be terrified of coming forward. Remember Nick Pope, who's been on the show? He's talked about this quite often, where, people were afraid of coming forward. Like, they would report it to the government or their superiors, but they wouldn't come out publicly because they didn't want to be called a kook. They didn't want to be called crazy. I mean, we've got to think about these questions, but now that's different. Now that's different. Tucker talked to Congressman Burchett, not just about like what's going on with these, as far as like hiding the funding, but what are the next steps in the UAP Disclosure Act? Like, what will the next steps be? Congresswoman Luna has talked about this publicly. She's advocating. And remember, she was with the Air Force. This is important to her. This is important to her. And this is important to people like Senator Marco Rubio and others who understand there is a legitimate reason to be investigating this. Take a listen to this. This is Tucker Carlson and Burchett in their second discussion regarding the UAP Disclosure Act.
So where is this legislation going? I mean, will there be disclosure short term? Will these two committee chairmen, the Speaker of the House, Mitch McConnell, will they shut it down?
Well, the Senate passed it, the amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, but it hasn't been signed into law yet. The House is in negotiations, from what I understand, over this amendment. I'll be talking to the Speaker today or tomorrow about this amendment and just telling him how important it is to this community and transparency. That's really all I want is transparency. Where we're spending all this money on something, and where's it going, and why do they not trust the American public? Those are the things that people need to ask. You can, as I said at the hearing, I said, we're not going to bring in a UFO, we're not going to bring in little green men, but what we want is transparency. And unfortunately, we don't have much of that in the United States Congress because look, there's another shiny object over here. They'll misdirect us over here. They'll misdirect us over there. But I believe this community is very, very in tune to what's going on and the cover-up that's been going on.
And he's right. Burchett, who is from the state of Tennessee, he talked about the fact after he was saying he wants more transparency, Tucker asked him, are you concerned? Because you're pushing against, basically a machine that doesn't want this information going public. And he said, yeah, he's already felt that kind of pressure. People are going to come after him. They're going to try to take his seat. He said Tennesseans, think on their own. They don't feel the pressure from the outside as much as other places, other states. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out with Congressman Burchett. But when he talks about this amendment, as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, seeking transparency, he talks about the fact that it's what is important to the American people. It's about the disclosure, but that they're not going to give away sources and methods. And I don't think they will, but I don't want to give too much leeway to our DOD to cover up. I mean, you can say anything is, for example, classified. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example of this. When I was in Afghanistan, they would classify the amount of toilet paper heading over to Afghanistan. I mean, logistics. Oh, we got to classify how much money we're spending on toilet paper. We got to classify this. We got to classify that. And you would think, well, why are they classifying that? I mean, toilet, for crying out loud. That's crazy. That's crazy. No, maybe not. Because they said if we give away how much toilet paper we're sending over there or how many rolls of this or that we're sending over there, we might be giving away the number of people that are utilizing this and that are stationed at particular areas in Afghanistan. By giving away the logistics, you're giving away the personnel. There's also another reason, because you hide a lot of the money in those things, right? You're in a way laundering like specific classified operations, and you're putting money in different areas. You're trying to spread the wealth out there so people don't know where that money is going exactly. So I don't want the DOD to have gathering sources and methods. Yeah, maybe I understand that, protecting a source, protecting an alien, not so much. Like, I want to know if they're talking to aliens, I mean, if that's the truth. I want to know if we have alien biologics on planet Earth. I think that would be important for us to know, right? I think that would be important. I mean, we don't know what that means to us, what that means for our children. Are there areas that we're not even looking at? I won't even touch on them yet because it would take too long and this podcast would be never ending. But there are areas where we're allowed to ask these questions. These are fundamental questions that deserve answers, which I think is the reason why our government is so desperate to control our social media, right? Not just because of UFOs, because everything. Because right now we are, in a way, and especially thankfully to Elon Musk, we're in charge of speaking the truth. We're the ones in charge. We don't have to wait for the New York Times or the Washington Post or Sarah Carter or anybody else. If you see it, you can say it. And not only can you say it, but that information goes across the airways, through the wires, wherever, through our internet, through the World Wide Web, and it reaches people across the globe. Communication is the greatest asset. It is the greatest weapon. It is the greatest asset of mankind, of humankind. The greatest asset. Why? Because if I see something and I think I'm the only one and I say it and I post the picture and then everybody else has, the ability to hear me, then maybe there's 3 or 4 more people that were so afraid to come forward, but they saw it too. They may have a picture. They may have a document. They may have worked for that department in the government. They may have been told to keep their mouth shut. They may have been told that they were crazy. And then they find out, you know what? I'm not. Because I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Folks, we live in an incredible time in human history. One that is fundamentally a turning point for every single one of us, for all of humankind. I truly believe that. We are, and we have the ability to go to space, to go to the moon, to transmit and communicate through the air, to cure illnesses, and maybe even download thoughts, right? Neuralink, Elon Musk, artificial intelligence, the ability to see what maybe these vehicles never wanted us to see then, but we can see now. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to speak the truth. It's also okay to be afraid to speak the truth. You wouldn't be smart if you weren't thinking these things through, right? But it is okay to tell the truth. It's scary. I've been there. I've done that. It's scary to stand up to some of these agencies. I did that in Russiagate. And sure, they'll come after you for a little while. If you have a job, that could be pretty tough. But you have to weigh what is important to you. Is the disclosure of what you're willing to blow the whistle on so important to humankind that you cannot keep it to yourself? Or so important to reveal to the public because you feel that without revealing it, that you're threatening, this secret is threatening in some way, shape, or form the agency that you're working for, or the people that you're working for, or the country that you're a part of. There's always a reason to step forward, right? But you have to weigh what that is that reason being responsible? Are you being responsible with that? And that's why Congress is saying, look, we have a Disclosure Act. This is going to be attached to the Department of Defense National Authorization Act. We want people to come forward to us. We want people to tell us the truth. Now, if it is classified information, there is a setting for that. You can go into a SCIF with Congress and you can tell them the truth. The thing is, as human beings, we deserve the truth. We deserve to know the truth because it's a part of us. It's a part of human knowledge. And our government should not be using our tax dollars against us. We should be able to speak up and speak out and hold them accountable as well. Because we really don't know in the end what we're talking about here. What we do know is that there's something in our skies that we can't explain. There's something there, and it's a part of us. Our government knows it. Others know it. and we're questioning it. In response to Tucker's conversation with Burchett, Representative Luna, Congresswoman Luna of Florida, tweeted out a very special announcement, which is very exciting. And I will tell you about it right after I talk to you about HelloFresh, which I love and is fantastic. By the way, even when I was on vacation, I had it delivered so that I have a son here who was watching the house and he could use the HelloFresh that came in the mail. And they even sent it to me. They sent a tweet to me with a picture of the box right outside of my house. My son got it, picked it up, and could cook the meals that were in there while I was gone, while he was watching the pets with his girlfriend, Rio. So I thought that was really nice. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable, folks. That's why it's #1 meal kit in America. And the holidays are just right around the corner. And HelloFresh can help take the stress out of dinner by delivering everything you need to cook up tasty meals right to your door, saving you tons of time. Just like always, HelloFresh's ingredients travel from the farm to your door, so you know they're fresh. And everything arrives pre-portioned, so you can get right to cooking super quickly, and your family can join you too. Like I said, my daughter Annalise loves to cook the meals with me. She loves to go through the recipes, pick the recipe she wants the most, and then we portion out all of the meals. We cut all the vegetables up. I mean, it's cooking. You're just cooking. It's just they made it so much easier for you, so you don't have to think of like, what am I going to cook tonight? You can say, you know what? I'm going to have those Thai burgers tonight. Or you know what? I'm going to have that spaghetti bolognese tonight. Or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to have these Mexican tacos tonight. Or, I mean, it's every recipe you can imagine. And it's absolutely, absolutely delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/Sara Carter free. Again, that's SaraCarterFree and use code Sara Carter free for a free breakfast for life. Think about that. 1 breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/Sara Carter free with code Sara Carter free. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. All right, what you've all been waiting for. Congresswoman Luna, she tweeted shortly after Tucker's interview dropped. This is quote unquote, "My team and I, along with Tim Burchett, Rep. Matt Gaetz, Representative Moskowitz, will be holding a bipartisan press conference at the Capitol this Thursday morning before votes to publicly draw attention to the continual pushback, sidelining, and stonewalling we and countless Americans have received regarding UAPs. This is open to the public. We'll announce a time shortly." She goes on to say, "Thank you at Tucker Carlson and at X for giving us a platform while the government and media have tried to silence Americans and bar us from the truth." So frustrating to live in a country that was established by such founders of freedom, right? I mean, principled founders of this nation believed in liberty and freedom and believed in the free press and believed in protecting this republic by putting the power in the hands of the American people. And I got to tell you, I agree with Rep. Luna. Thank you, Tucker Carlson. Thank you, X. I don't know what we would do if we didn't have Elon Musk and X right now. It would be pretty frightening, considering that the majority of our freedom, which is our ability to communicate with one another, has been seized by our government. And that is very, very frightening. And it's sad that the media and the establishment media has fallen victim to this and become a part of that. We will be covering this press conference and continuing to bring you the latest on the unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP phenomena, UFO phenomena. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sara Carter Show and the Sara Carter family. I really, really, truly appreciate every single one of you. I love reading what you have to say, both on X, all your posts. I try to go through them as much as I can, and on YouTube and Rumble and everywhere else that you get your podcasts. Guys, keep doing that. Download the podcast, give us 5 stars. It is so important to us. And please make sure you're subscribed to the Sara Carter Show here on your favorite podcast app. It really helps. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on X at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our great nation. God bless our congressmen and women that are trying to find the truth. And God bless the great state of Texas.